because I didn't even know I was speaking today because oh, we're live. Welcome everyone. We're live. John Lavenia, whether you like it or not, here I am on a Tuesday sitting in for Karen. She's dealing with an emergency. So wishing her and her family well. And yeah, we'll be, hold on, I got to get rid of that. All right, good. I had YouTube in one ear and my mouth in the other. So anyway, good to see you all. I see some of my most esteemed favorite people in the universe here. Stu's here, Alec, Eddie, Ann Crane, the one and only. Hello, Ann. Brittany's here, Scott, and I don't see anybody else on camera. Some of you got nice still shots. Some of you don't even have still shots. Did you know that you could go ahead and create your own profile, like with your actual name and like a still shot, a real flattering one? And this way, every time you show up on Zoom, even if you don't want to turn on the camera, we all get to see how gorgeous you are. And you are. So if no one's told you you're gorgeous today, that just happened. So I got to talk with my friend Eddie Smalls, who's here with us right now. Eddie is one of our longstanding members. We go way back, right, Eddie? Like months now. Like
yes, we are. Yes,
the old sage on top of the mountain, right? And Eddie was just introducing our topic for today, which is, well, I guess a simple way to put it would be follow the leader, right? And the idea that we are reaching goals and then setting more goals. So I guess we're going to take that up here today because that's something that cannot be taken for granted. I've had, in my experience, just so you guys know, and this is going to be a damaging admission, right? So just in case you think I walk on water, I'm about to disabuse you of any, false ideas that you may have. But I heard that the first million's the hardest. Anybody ever heard that? Yeah, BS. All right. So here's the story. So you get up and running in a business, you get successful, and the gravy train is just pouring out gravy. And it's a happy days. And of course, that's always going to go on that way. So you can rest on your laurels, right? I mean, you've arrived. No, because here's the thing that intellectually I knew this, but I didn't really know it, because to know and not to do is not to know. All right. But here's the rest of the story is that nothing rests. Nothing rests. Like I'm talking universally now, right? There's this whole law of perpetual transmutation of radiant energy. Nothing's created or destroyed. And it just moves from this form into that form, but nothing rests. Everything's moving. Everything's dynamic. If it's observable, right? It's dynamic. And so it's either expanding or contracting, creating or disintegrating. And we could see this in the cycle of life, right? Here's the little acorn, the sapling, the tree, the mighty oak, the aged tree that falls over and becomes the dirt for the new sapling, right? So that's a cycle. There's no resting in that. And the tree grows up and expands until it has completed its cycle, and then it disintegrates. So where's the resting in there? There is no resting. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean that you can't have, time for recreation and meditation or whatever. Of course. That appears ostensibly as resting, but still there's movement happening there. There's movement of thought, right? There's movement of energy. So here's the rest of the story. Rest on laurels. And now what? By the way, let me define that, because a lot of people, you've heard that cliche, resting on laurels. What does that actually mean? Well, back in the day of, I guess, the Romans and the Greeks, perhaps, right? The victorious general would come back from battle and they would put the laurels, a crown of leaves, right? From a laurel bush or shrubbery, like bay leaves, that's in the laurel family. Okay. I used to think it was olive, because it kind of looks like that. You can do the same thing with olives, by the way. If you're in the part of the world where there's olive trees, like I lived in Arizona for a while, olive trees grow like weeds over there. My daughter and I would fashion laurels. We were using olive branches, but it worked. That's where the word laurels comes from. Don't rest on them. Just because you got your laurel today, remember, thou art mortal, right? More Romanism right there. Thou art mortal. You haven't arrived. Okay, today's victory, that's for today. All right. And because we're either creating or disintegrating, I didn't set new goals. The gravy train's going to last forever, right? I don't need to learn anything new. I don't need to adapt with the times. I don't need to pivot, which is a word we use here often. Down go the stats. And in my case, it was a catastrophic, just in terms of decision making. Just to let you know, at least as important as what you do is who you do it with. But there was a major disaster that happened with a business partner, and millions down the drain, millions. So the idea of the first million's the hardest. Well, yeah, and I guess if you're looking at it as an outsider, thinking, "Wow, that's a lofty thing" or something, I'll tell you what's harder: pick yourself up and do it again. Now we're talking. Now we're building character, damn it. And now you won't rest on your laurels. So back to the idea that Eddie was talking about. And you guys here, you might just be thinking, hey, I just want to get in the game. I want to make $5,000 a month or something. You're talking about millions of dollars. Okay, we'll expand your view here a little bit. There's a bigger game afoot, right? Because let's say you are successful. Let's say you do reach your goal of 5,000, 10,000 a month, whatever your number is. I'm not here to evaluate or invalidate whatever your goals are. But let's say you actually do it. Hopefully you're expecting to. Hopefully, right? It's not just some wish and some dream. Let's say you actually do it. Well, now what? You damn well better have an answer. Now what? Otherwise, disintegrate. Everything's transient. So to follow the leader then would be to, I guess another way we could say that is to be mentored by people who are being mentored. I have mentors. They have mentors. I haven't arrived. Rachel hasn't arrived. Nobody's arrived. Okay. Rachel has mentors. Some of you are going to be invited, and some of you have been invited to participate with the advanced group. That's where you're working directly with Rachel and Adam and the top experts here in the industry. That would be a good thing to do. They haven't arrived. They're still learning and pivoting and all this. I talked to Amy, one of our e-commerce coaches. She did 600,000 last year. Nice. Okay. It took her a few years to get to that point, but she's still pushing. So whatever the number is, okay, what comes after that? In other words, we don't want to get to the end of the book just because you completed one chapter. What's the next chapter? Create it. And in that is a clue. And I wrote about this in Integrity is Everything. So for you to act with expectancy, to execute your work, your business actions, your income producing activities, for you to do that with expectancy, not only is it much more powerful than just doing it hopefully. Okay. Hope isn't a strategy, but expectant, intentional, decidedly, right? Those are the attributes that we're looking for with whatever actions you're doing now. And when you do that, thinking from the end, all right, here's the wish fulfilled. Here is the goal attained. And when you have that in mind, when you have the feeling, not just intellectualizing, but when you have the feeling as if with full expectation, that's a done deal. I name it and claim it. Damn it. I'm going to experience that. And it's being delivered right on schedule. Now let me do my work to appropriate that which is coming to me already. So let me do my work. That's setting up the receiving pipeline. So you go ahead, you do your work, you receive the money. What comes next? Here's the trick, guys. Here it is. See yourself already in possession of this goal, whatever that I mentioned, 5,000. So we'll stick on that for a minute. So here's the 5,000. You've got the 5,000 now. It's too late to fail. You've already got it. Get that here. Great. What's your next goal? Have an answer for that. Now. What's the next goal? Now that you got the 5,000, what's the next goal? So you see, we're just hitting fast forward on the videotape. And so the next chapter shall be, says you, 10,000 or whatever it happens to be. And by the way, it's not just about the money. So here's ink on paper for whatever it's worth, which is less every day. Okay, what does the money get you? What options does that buy you in your life? What cars in your driveway? What school is your kids going to? Right? I mean, have a reason for the money. It's not just numbers, data on a computer screen or whatever. Okay, so there's got to be relevance to that. But what I'm saying is that you can and should set yourself up for the next goal treating the current one as if it's a done deal. Fast forward on the tape. And I'll give you one more little thing you can throw in there, which makes this much more potent, is that if you can mix that with relationships, casual relationships, people you already know, you don't have to conjure up or invent something, but like who's somebody that you know that you talk to on a daily basis, you know their facial expressions, you know how they occur to you in your life. In my case, my wife, my daughter, business associates, right? I know these people. What conversation are you going to have with those people now that you've reached these goals? See yourself having those conversations. Bring relationships into your visualization, right? Have the conversation with them in your mind. Have the conversation with them about the next goal. Now that you've got this one, right? Here's how we're advancing. Here's how we're continuing to expand and accelerate, right? Sharing your vision with them about where you're going now that you've accomplished this. You see how presumptuous that is? You see how we're assuming this is already done? Of course it's already done. That's why we're talking about the next thing now. This is huge, guys. So if you want mentoring and you consider me a leader, well, there you go. There it is. Do that. And I say this, I need reminders all the time, right? I'm saying this for me. I'm saying this for me. You guys just get to listen in. Thank you, Eddie, for prompting all this. But yeah, this is for my benefit. And I'm always fascinated to hear what comes out of my mouth because I don't pre-plan anything, especially today when I didn't even know I was going to be here. And I'm not even going to count how many calls I got to return. It is, yeah. Anyway, so much for convenience. But I love you guys, and I hope you take this to heart. I hope you act on it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this because the floor is open. And here comes Scott. Scott, my co-philosopher. Hello, Scott.
Good morning, John. Good morning, everyone. I think my perspective is slightly different. To me, you say you follow the leader in terms of mentors, but to me, I think the ultimate leader that directs your actions and gives you perspective on everything you're doing is the end goal. And I think that really informs you as to what you need to do, how you need to do it, because everything you do is reference to that goal. Yes, you have mentors and you have mistakes and you have doubts and fears that you overcome. But all those things, including the mentors, are part of the course correction. You need the mentors to help you course correct, and they are powerful course correctors. Now, some of those mentors, what you will find is that you will take from some of them, but you won't take everything from everyone because you need that independence, that intuitive understanding of things to take the fruit of what works for you, because not everything everyone gives you is going to work for you, and that's fine. Mentors don't tell you everything. They tell you the best they can do, and 90% of it might work, 10% might not for you, but that's okay. You've got to have that freedom to stand back and pick the cherries. You can't just take everything you're given. You must interact. So your goal is your goal. It's not your mentor's goal. It's not anyone's goal. It's your goal. So you must do what intuitively feels right for you to achieve that goal, which may agree with the mentors. It may diverge on occasion because mentors differ as well. I've noticed that as well in terms of what I'm getting. Different people are saying slightly different things, sometimes radically different things. So I have to cherry pick, otherwise I get confused. And that's fine because everyone has their own way of doing things, and that's the way it should be. Until also, I think this is going to be a little bit very controversial. You talk about people that they haven't arrived yet. They haven't arrived. Well, I think the arrived to me comes back to essentially what we're all about. See, if arrived means achieving a goal, then look at the end of the day, when you pass from this world, you don't take your money with you, don't take your possessions with you, don't take anything physical with you. What you take with you is what you've become and how far you've advanced as a soul, as a spirit, as a person. You don't take anything physical. You don't even take your body. So to me, you've arrived, frankly, when you're dead. That's when the game is over. And that's when you can look back and say, well, what have I really achieved? And the only achievement you can really look at then, because you've got nothing physical, is what you become as a person. And that's where goals, particularly the one huge goal, has the most impact, because the goals, the fundamental purpose of a goal is to help you be the best and all you can be as an entity, as a spirit, as a soul. Because anything else just fades away upon death. You can have the biggest, strongest, most amazing body in the world, but it counts for nothing once you're dead. But what you become as a person through that process, that's what counts. And you can have all the money in the world, same thing. If you've been an absolute rip-roaring horror, then all the money won't count for anything. It's what you've become as a person that counts. You know, and I do think, though, that it's not about the money. Well, the money is a measure, but it really is about what you become as a person. Certainly, it is. I think that's an end game to me is how you look back at your life and your soul development upon death. So that's the only thing you've got, what you are as a person. You know, that's my 10 cents worth.
Well, thank you, Scott. That's heavy duty in the context of selling coffee mugs to the public. I mean, that's profound. Yeah. When we talk about leadership, what is a leadership? What is a leader? I'll tell you my simplest definition of a leader is someone with a destination, which we could say is marked by goals. So overarching or overriding everything that you were just talking about, Scott, is self-determinism. So are you an inner-directed person? I hope so, right? And to a degree, we are, and to a degree, where the effect of outside influences and such. But I mean, we can get into books like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl and other works like this. The reason I bring this up is because, look, I want you guys to win, and I don't care about your methods. And your goals don't affect me. Although, do you think you could do more good in the world with money than you can without? Even after you achieve death, right? I don't know if Scott was ready to pass around the hemlock or what, but look, we got to live here, right? So go beautify the world. Go make some money. Go do some good in the world. You can do more good with money than you can without. I heard the best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. Great. So no apologies, right? Let's kick ass. Let's do it. That's leadership. That's inner-directed leadership. Check out Steve Covey, 7 Habits. I'm sure you've read that, Scott.
John, can I mention one more thing?
No. We're going to go to Eddie Smalls next, but that's okay.
Sorry,
go ahead. Right.
Okay, just a very quick thing. You talk about getting one goal and then another goal and another goal. But to me, you have the big goal, and all those small goals on the way are part of the course correction, because they will change as you grow. And what's important to you will change as you grow. Your methodology will change as you grow. It's all course correction in the light of that large goal. Because if you have to decide what the next step is from scratch, it's huge. But if you have a huge goal at the end, even if it's impossible to reach, that will color and shape all the little goals, all the little steps on the way. Again, they are just course corrections. I said enough now. Thank you.
Scott Barker, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be signing books at back of room once we're done here. Right. Eddie Smalls, what's going on, Eddie? The Reverend Eddie Smalls.
Well, Scott's gotten deep on us, and as he always does.
You caused it. You're.
It's just what we are in our times. When you get past 60, you start looking into things like that. That's what happens. I mean, you start saying, I've done X, Y, and Z. You start examining your life. But see, simplifying this, we are always taught about money from the start. I mean, that's just how it was. I mean, I fell in love with a comic book when I was 7, 8 years old, but I had to make my own money to get one because my daddy was not going to buy me a comic book. That was considered trash back then. That's why I was in the trash can in the first place. But I saw it and fell in love with it. So what did I do? I learned one of the basic things about entrepreneurship. Find something somebody wants to pay you money for and sell it to them. Coca-Cola bottles, Pepsi-Cola bottles, Yahoo bottles, Fanta Grape. And I still know the name of the bottles. They were made out of glass. 3 cents a bottle. Now I had to do my math. Wait a minute, now 3 cents. How many am I need to get a comic book? A comic book is 12 cents. So I'm thinking, you know, I didn't think of myself as a little itty bitty entrepreneur, but I was coming up with enough money, and I had one of the biggest comic book collections in the neighborhood. People were coming from different neighborhoods just to see my collection. But I never thought about the connection between that and a powerful goal. I was just a little kid, but that's still in my head. So goals are important, but just, things that go intrinsic. You got to get stuff in you, but you got to realize what I'm talking about was I was inspired. That's what Scott's talking about. He's talking about inspiration stuff. That's what it is. Inspiration is the most powerful thing can ever happen to you. Because I promise you, your goals, whatever, everything that you thought that was a problem is a temporary problem, because you will surmount them in order to take care of that you want to do. When you got that inspiration energy, I promise you, I dealt with bullies in the neighborhood who want to steal your bottles. People I found ways not to let them fall and break on the pavement. I mean, I came with all kind of ways to stack bottles up and then all of a sudden go down and get them all to the store. That's what you do in entrepreneurship. I mean, think about it, people. I'm old enough to remember when Sears was it. Montgomery Ward was it. You had to, you were just reading all through the catalog and whoa, and all of a sudden, the softer side of Sears, they had to come with a new slogan. I said, wait a minute, they doing hammers and nails and all that. No, we doing women's lingerie. They trying something new because they had to keep up with making the money. I mean, like John said, okay, you make $1 million, now what? Somebody going, make $1 million? I'm trying to make 100,000. Okay, make 100,000, now what? Whenever you make it, you got to make more, because that's called momentum. And you want to stay there once you get there. But getting there is, the first time is the thing, because I've got friends that got all this money, and I'm listening to them and what they're saying and how they got there. And it's all about you. Oh, no, really. It's not the government. The government won't give me no. It's not your politics. I promise you, none of those things. I butt my head against all that. Your negative friends, we'll cut them loose. Well, you can't do that. You ain't never been able to make it anyway. No, you need to let them out. Look, I know we've been friends, but if you got to keep talking like that, I got to push you over here, because they are dream stealers. Look, y'all, Oprah was making $10,000 a year in 1978. I remember 1978 very well. Wow, people talking about, she's rich. That's what people were saying. She's rich. Well, that's how we was thinking. But she said, no, I wasn't. I went and started driving through neighborhoods and saw rich people. And I said, that's what I want. They got trees in their yard. They got 3 and 4 car garages. That's what I want. She upped the ante. You got to do the same thing. You got to see what you want and then go after it with the alacrity that you planning on getting there. So come up with all kind of things we can talk, because everybody got the idea right here, Scott, John, all of them. But the thing it is, what are you going to do to make the money you want? And when you get it, what are you going to do with it to keep it coming? Those are the questions you got to answer. Because the people that do are people that do things that other people won't do. You become a will do, and it will come. That's what I got in my, and it's got to happen. You get me excited. I'm still at Walmart but I'm thinking like this. I'm already thinking I'm gone from Walmart. That's how you got to think before it happens. Don't be so, before it happens, put it up there. That's why we got an imagination. All right. I done pushed, that pushed my button. But anyway, that's my message for you. See it now before it happens and make it happen. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. I'm enjoying this.
Eddie Smalls, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Smalls. Thank you, sir. Glad you're here. Stu from Tiny
Hey.
Ontario. What's up, Stu?
Yeah, tiny Ontario, where size doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And thank you, Eddie. That was great. Folks, he's going to be here all week, so make sure you come back. One of the things that I've been working on hard with myself, my childhood was all about lack. We didn't have the money, never had the money. It was a steady diet of macaroni and tomatoes. It was tough. And my mom, single mom, raising 4 kids in the 60s, right? So I had a lot of ingrained ideas when I came into adulthood, and all of them had some connection to lack. And it's taken me a long time to stop living my life from that point of view. And the low-hanging system, yeah, that's one of the places where it raised its head when I was deciding, am I going for this or not? And I just took a couple deep breaths. I said, damn it all, I'm worth it. And if I don't make it happen, who's going to make it happen for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and part of changing that all around is starting to live your life daily from the point of view of, I have everything I need provided for me. I need it, it appears, it just shows up. And I do that now. And I don't worry about where it's coming from. I mean, I don't go out and spend money needlessly, but I no longer am coming from the point of lack. I tip well, because I appreciate good service, right? And I have charities that I like to support. And I don't have a lot of money right now. I'm kind of on a fixed income, which is something is going to change for me. But my message is, change your mindset about where you're at right now. Start doing things that you would normally do if you were coming from that point of view of lack. Treat yourself and be part of the flow. The flow is money in, money out. You spend money, you're going to get more money. If you believe it, it's going to happen, right? If you're like, I can't afford that, guess what? You can't afford nothing, because that's your default. I can't afford that, right? Think about what you're going to buy. Is it stupid, or could it make an improvement in your life? Then go ahead and get it. And don't worry about where the money's coming from, because it's going to come because you did that. That's part of the whole equation. You got to give the money someplace to go that comes from your heart. You think that's a good place for it because good things are going to happen. That's all you got to do. So anyways, that's me, John.
Stu, awesome, man. I'll tell you what, it's been great to get to know you over the last couple of weeks. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we're going to be talking some more, you and I. Eddie mentioned inspired, right? If you look at where that word comes from, so it's in spirit, right? So in the spirit, it's enthusiastic, it's inspired, right? So that changes everything. And when you're in that flow, I think, yeah, that sounds inspirational to me, right? I mean, not stagnant, not a stop, but a flow, right? That's how life works, right? I mean, the stops, right? Think of like arthritis, right? That's a stop. I'm not going to get too much into the science of it, but things got to flow, including money. And when you're inspired, you're playing to win. You're not stopping. You're accelerating. Pat, let's get Pat out here, and then I think we're at a half hour. Hey, Pat, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, first of all, I had success. I finally got my Etsy store open. I don't know why, with all the things, I was so mad. And then last night I went into it and it was open. But what I wanted to say, pertinent to what you were talking about, is goals, and they're always changing. I've told you the story of my first 5-year plan, where we got our house and everything. But at that time, it was the early 60s. We were aiming for the goal of making $20,000 a year because we'd be on the gravy train. I mean, if we made that much a year, everything was going to be fantastic. And a story that stuck with me, and I told my husband, and it kind of got into him, was a story of a man in the 1920s who bought an annuity for his wife that would grant her $35 a month. And he said, at least she'll always be able to pay the rent. So our goals have to change because economic conditions, change. I was at work one day and one of the women had just bought a new house, and she thought she got a fantastic deal on it. It was $380,000. So the art teacher kind of laughed and he said, I paid $38,000 for mine. And of course, I was the oldest in the group, and I said, you better all sit down before I tell you what we paid for ours. I said, our 3-bedroom house that had a great living room and a big bonus room, as well as 3 bedrooms, all that stuff was $3,800.
Wow.
And you see the progression over 60 years, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, let's make some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you've always got to be moving your goals and moving your ideas of what is actually necessary. And then on top of that, what you're going to do with the overage.
Right. Right.
That's
$3,800, huh? So
$3,800. We
Yeah.
bought 2 new cars, 2 of them, for $5,000.
Well, what were they? Were they Edsel or
No,
LaSalle?
they were Opals.
Opal. Ah,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
You know,
Yeah.
they were small, sporty cars that were a lot of fun to drive. As a matter of fact, I sold my Opal to my sister-in-law when I got a new car, drove the new car for about 4 or 5 years, and was talking to her one day, and she said she was getting a new car. I said, what are you doing with my Opal? And she said, well, I'm going to sell it. I said, sell it back to me. And
Yeah.
I loved that car so much, I drove it for another 15 years.
Oh my goodness. Tell you what, old cars, we got some car people here. And yeah, some of those cars are worth a lot. So thank you, Pat. Always good to hear the voice of experience, huh, guys? I mean, there you go. That gives you some perspective. I just had a bid on my lawn. I do want to redo like the sod and this the grass and everything. $15,000 for grass. Yeah. Scott, you'll have the final word.
Thank you, sir. I'll be very quick. One point Stu mentioned, which I thought was very interesting, he highlights something that I've seen come up in different contexts many, many times. The focus on lack, the focus on basically what you don't have or don't want, the negative focus on something that is not to your best interest. That is a universal thing. And certainly we need to struggle with that. But I think what I'm seeing, particularly in the context of, say, a lot of current psychological therapy and medicine generally, there's this paradigm where they say, oh, you've got to go back in the past, unravel the past, find out why you feel the feelings you do, find out who did what to you and why they did it and how you respond, and go back and relive and basically, in my mind, regurgitate the vomit and keep on regurgitating and eating and chewing and regurgitating the vomit over and over again, hoping to get a positive outcome. It just basically keeps you tied to the psychologist for years to come, in constantly regurgitating negativity with absolutely no hope in hell of getting out of that prison of negativity. I think what you need is a different paradigm where you focus on the things you truly want and value. And when you do that, the brain itself will restructure itself, and the things you don't give attention to will simply die away. And maybe that's very simplistic, but I'm just seeing it time and time again, people in therapy for years and years and years, unraveling this ball of wool that's the size of a planet and expecting to get an outcome when all they ever do is think about the past. You can't move forward unless you let go of the past. The whole point of dreams is to reach the future, and you can't reach the future. You can't even dream or have anything to hope for if you're stuck in the past. You have to let it go. The best way to let it go is to override it with a dream, and all your thoughts and actions and everything focus on that dream. And as I say, let the dead bury the dead. Let the negativity of the past bury itself, because it will, by sheer neglect. You neglect it, it will die. Like a terrible analogy, but like a child. If you neglect a child, they will die. And a thought pattern, a negative thought pattern is like a child. If you nurture it, it will get stronger. If you neglect it, it will die. These are children you want to, I know it sounds terrible, but these are the sort of children, negative children from the past, you don't want to sustain. So you have to let it go. Otherwise, you can't move forward. And even with modern, parallel with modern medicine also, you see it. I see it time and time again because I was in the hospital. The obsession with treating symptoms and not causes. Same way with psychology. You're treating things that are fundamentally negative and not the root cause. With psychology, it's the root cause is the way of thinking and sticking to negative thinking, and they think they're going to get a better outcome. It doesn't happen. I've never seen it happen. But that's just something that came to my mind as Stu was talking. You must focus on what you cherish, what you love, what you want, what you dream. That has to be your waking consciousness. It has to be your waking reality. Otherwise, you'll never get free of the past. And you have to get free of the past if you're going to achieve your dreams, if you're going to achieve anything worthwhile to you. It sounds simplistic, but I think that's the only way to go. I've said my piece.
Thank you, Scott. We opened the can of worms here, guys, and we're out of time. So we're going to wrap up. Stu, did you have a?
I think it was you, John, that was talking about the wolf. It's the same thing, right? Which one are you going to feed?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Good stuff, guys. Michael's telling me to do AstroTurf. Michael, I did AstroTurf in Phoenix, and the problem is I have dogs, and that stuff doesn't do the bio thing, and so then it starts to stink, and you got to spray it with the enzymes, and then it stinks again. You spray it with the enzymes again. Oh my goodness! So we're doing actual grass here. So now you know. Love you guys. Hey, I'm going to be back here with you tomorrow. You're going to get me 3 days in a row, whether you like it or not. So I will see you all then. Make it a great day. You so deserve it, and see where you're going. Know that you're getting there. All right.